Welcome. First off, I want to say thank you to whoever you are listening or watching for opening your minds to receive extra knowledge nuggets each week. It means a lot to all of us, and we want you to know that. Also, since you are a premium subscriber, remember that you get priority in topic suggestions.
So feel free to shoot those suggestions on over to us either by email or you can write us a handwritten letter and send it to our P.O. box, which you can find that address on our website, theoriesofthethirdkind.com. Click on the contact tab, scroll down a little bit, and there our P.O. box address will be at.
Or you can give us a call at
707-390-0655 and leave us a voicemail. It'll go straight to the voicemail. It'll be like, hey, leave us a fucking voicemail, dog. And then the beep will beep and then you can leave it.
Or if you're lucky, Aaron answered and be like, hello, this is Aaron.
I won't. There's approximately a 0% chance I'm going to answer it because it goes automatically to voicemail. So we may text you back, though. It just all depends.
Just imagine how funny it would be. Someone just randomly called to leave a voicemail and you answer, hello.
Hello. Leave your voice message halfway through it. You know, that's a pretty interesting story. They're like, what the fuck?
Thank you for sending that. Wait, what? Click.
All right. So today's episode is over the Tokoloshe, which is a cryptid. And how today's episode will go is that we'll first discuss what it is, the origins of the Tokoloshe, then some eyewitness sightings and accounts, and then hop into strange facts and findings, and of course, end it with theories and our own personal thoughts. So with that being said, let's get into today's episode. Dan, can you start it off for us?
Of course. So what in the world is a Tokoloshe? Well, the Tokoloshe, or also known as Tokoloshe or Tokoloshe, best I can do on
Nancy
that one.
Pelosi.
Yeah. Is actually one of the most enduring figures in Southern African folklore. It is something that creeps along the edges of vision, slipping between the physical and spiritual realms with practice ease.
Descriptions vary in many ways that reflect the cultural terrain of Southern Africa itself. They are diverse, layered, and shaped by centuries of oral tradition. Yet a familiar outline emerges across these accounts. It is a creature small enough to hide beneath a bed frame, yet powerful enough to terrify entire communities.
It is a presence so feared that simple household choices, like the height of a bed, are influenced by attempts to keep it away. Meaning that they would actually raise their beds up on bricks to make it just tall enough that the Tokoloshe could not climb up onto the bed.
Damn. So across multiple different traditions, such as the Zulu, the
Swazi, the Xhosa, and Soto.
The Tokoloshe is often described as a small humanoid figure, child-sized, or barely the height of a seated dog at times. Its proportions may be distorted or unsettling. It may have some long fucking arms that are just dangling disproportionately to its torso. It might have short, curved legs or jointed in unusual ways like Baphomet, and a gaunt or swollen belly that reflects no ordinary living creature, unless you have a hernia.
Some traditions say that its skin appears charcoal black, mottled gray, or covered with coarse, patchy hair. Others describe translucent qualities, like smoke or heat shimmer, making it seem not entirely solid.
The facial details drift and change depending on the person telling the story, of course. Some say it has sunken-in eyes that glow faintly red or orange when it moves in the darkness. Then it could have a blunt-nosed, oversized ears, or sharp, chattering teeth, like Chatter on the movie Hellraiser.
Occasionally, it is said to appear with missing features, so it could have no eyes, no mouth, or simply blank flesh where a face should be. Sometimes described as a reanimated corpse or a transformed spirit bound to the intentions of its summoner, which we'll talk about here in a second.
In other communities, like the Xhosa, they share similarities but often portray the Tokoloshe as more as an autonomous supernatural creature, one that can be attracted by vulnerable households, illnesses, or spiritual neglect. Within the Swazi stories, the Tokoloshe may serve as a familiar spirit used by witches, acting as a spy or a vessel of nocturnal mischief.
Then in Soto traditions, it is not always framed as a summoned creature, but as an inherent force of the natural and spiritual world, one deeply connected to moral behavior, domestic harmony, and ancestral approval. These stories are almost all emphasize, though, that the Tokoloshe has like a soft pitter pat of feet when they run across like tin roofs, the metallic rattle of objects moving in a dark room when they're sneaking around to lick your toes, and a sudden coldness around the ankles as they brush by you.
So
like-
they're into feet,
I mean, they could be.
little fucking freaks. As you can start to tell, the Tokoloshe are very mischievous, and they engage in pranks that frighten or unnerve people but do not harm them. But not always. It can be an embodiment of malice, capable of violence, illness, catastrophes, misfortune, or even death. So most of the times they're just kind of like playing around, but some other times they could be like, fuck it, and just be like, you know what? I'm not going to pretend I'm going to swing this axe. I'm going to swing it on your bitch ass.
I'm going to get you. Now, it may appear as an instrument of witchcraft, summoned by a jealous or spiteful individual seeking to punish a rival. Or it is possible for it to operate independently, once summoned, drawn to disorder, conflict, or unbalanced household energies. So pretty much, it could be controlled by the summoner, or the summoner could summon it and not control it, and it just goes fucking chaos.
This is what the Zulu communities believe, that the Tokoloshe is often perceived in this way, that it was created, something conjured it for the purpose ranging from harassment to lethal harm, or something just an inherent force.
So despite these differences, the Tokoloshe occupies a powerful cultural role across the region. It is a figure invoked in moments of fear or unexplained disturbance, a name whispered when livestock behave strangely, when illness spreads without warning, or when a home feels unsettled for reasons no one can fully articulate. Explain.
The creature exists at the intersection of physical threat and spiritual imbalance, shaping the landscape of belief in ways that remain deeply influential today. With that being said, the Tokoloshe is not a simple monster. It is a manifestation of anxieties around jealousy, vulnerability, and the unseen forces believed to influence daily life. I feel like I'm in therapy right now.
A little bit.
The reason you feel this way, Aaron, is because you have anxiety that stems from jealousy and vulnerability.
You might be a Tokoloshe.
Speaking of might being a Tokoloshe, this is what they apparently look like. They look like Gollum, but with hair.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think about that. Gollum with pointy ears.
You think you could beat one of their ass? You think if they were like one-on-one, medieval times, fist to fist?
Hell yeah.
You think you could beat its
I
ass?
beat that little thing down into the ground.
You don't think it could be like wiry and have claws and like jump around and like scrape you, like bounce off walls and like scratch you as it's running by?
I just need one good hit.
You just need to grab it woof, one good time.
Slam it on the ground. Bam.
Damn.
Yeah. So now that we know what a Tokoloshe is and if we could take it one-on-one, which Aaron didn't say, do you think you could?
Fuck yeah. I could take about 10 of those little fuckers on at the same time.
I don't know about 10.
I could, well,
I mean,
5 at least.
5 probably.
Yeah, then I'd get tired. I'd have to work on my cardio first.
Our adrenaline dies down. But all right, so now we know what a Tokoloshe is. Let's talk about where it came from, its origins, and the stories that built its legend. And to understand the Tokoloshe, the modern Tokoloshe, you have to travel back through time. You step into ancient Southern African cosmology, where the living and the ancestral didn't simply coexist, they overlapped like two worlds sharing the same breath.
In these early layers of storytelling, the Tokoloshe thrived long before written words ever tried to capture it. It lived in explanations of misfortune, illness, conflict, and the invisible ripples of spiritual imbalance. It acted as both as a symbol and a presence, standing in the doorway between what people could touch and what they could only sense. So pretty much they used it as an excuse for everything.
Pretty much. The Tokoloshe helped communities make meaning of the forces that shaped human life, even when those forces were unseen. Within Zulu perspectives, the Tokoloshe rises from a worldview where the natural and supernatural mingle freely. So obviously, this is more within like the Zulu and the Southern African tribes. This was like a spiritual thing that was going on.
Yeah. Now, misfortune is rarely random in this universe. It almost always points to a damaged relationship with ancestors, with the community, or with power stirred through witchcraft. Here, the Tokoloshe often operates as a tool of wrongdoing powered by jealousy, anger, or unresolved resentments.
A person who feels overlooked or hurt might approach a witch, seeking revenge or I guess, want to attack somebody through spiritual means instead of doing it themselves. Then the witch, drawing on dark forces, might shape or summon a Tokoloshe to torment, frighten, or even take it to the extreme and kill the chosen target.
Speaking of killing or casting spells and shit, did you do anything a few days ago when, what was it, Gemini was in its 7th house in the full moon?
I charged my moon crystals, and I put a
Cool.
bunch of water out there for my moon water to drink.
Nice.
I don't know if you're supposed to drink that or not.
I casted a couple spells. Actually, I casted one spell and then burned it. So
What kind of spell?
you'll find out. So, no, it was a good one. It's always good spells that I cast. I don't cast no chaos or harmful spells. Just protection and then love spells.
Not all witches are evil, just so we say that.
Not a witch. I'm a Wiccan, dog. Shit. Just because I got long hair, people calling me, excuse me, ma'am. I turn around, they're like, oh, sorry.
It's
It's ma'am.
It's ma'am. It's sir. Or it's sir.
Yeah. So in these stories, the Tokoloshe is not naturally evil. It is more like a spiritual instrument sculpted by human emotions and cosmic tension. Chosa traditions, it adds a new thread to the tapestry, giving the Tokoloshe an expanded role.
The creature is not only linked to witchcraft, but also to disharmony between the living and their ancestors. Ancestral spirits are guardians, advisors, and guiding lights for families. When people neglect rituals, break moral codes, or fall into family conflict, the harmony with ancestors can fracture.
This spiritual imbalance may manifest as disturbances, one of which is the appearance of a Tokoloshe. The Tokoloshe becomes both a warning and a consequence, an echo of broken spiritual ties.
It helps communities interpret suffering, loss, and the mysterious troubles that shadow human existence. Swazi and Soto stories shift the lens even more.
In Swazi belief, the Tokoloshe is sometimes crafted like a ritual creation, built from mud, hair, animal parts, or even human remains, then breathed to life with spiritual energy. The resulting creature becomes an extension of a witch's intention, capable of spying, stealing, or harming with eerie efficiency.
Pretty much it's becoming like the witch's familiar.
Yeah.
Then in Soto traditions, however, often describe these Tokoloshe as an independent spiritual being, not crafted but existing naturally within the unseen world. It may be drawn to particular homes or individuals due to moral wrongdoing, unresolved quarrels, or spiritual impurity. Its presence in these stories is less about being conjured and more about being attracted to human disorder.
European colonizers first encountered these stories in the 19th century. Missionaries, administrators, and early anthropologists recorded their observations, but their interpretations were clouded by bias and not being familiar with those motherfuckers. There we go. They described the Tokoloshe using words like hobgoblin or dwarf spirit, labels that shrank and distorted the creature's cultural meaning.
Hobgoblin. Don't really hear that word too much.
No.
So even so, their flawed accounts preserved fragments of traditions that might otherwise have been erased by the disruption of colonial rule. Colonialism reshaped spiritual landscapes dramatically, though.
New laws, new religions, and new social pressures collided with traditional systems of belief, merging into hybrid forms that still shape the region today. The Tokoloshe adapted to this turbulent era, keeping its old roles while developing new ones.
As migrant workers poured into overcrowded mining towns, they carried their stories with them, and the Tokoloshe's reputation spread even more. Strange illnesses, sudden deaths, and sleep disturbances in the cramped hostels were sometimes blamed on the Tokoloshe.
In this way, the Tokoloshe became a bridge between rural homesteads and rapidly growing industrial cities. In the present day, the belief in the Tokoloshe remains vibrant across many communities.
In the rural homes, beds are still raised on bricks or cinder blocks, a simple defense rooted in the belief that the Tokoloshe struggles to reach people who sleep higher off the ground. Protective rituals, burning herbs, and using charms or consulting in Sangoma, which is a South African healer, remain trusted methods for warding off spiritual threats.
These practices blend seamlessly with modern life, coexisting with smartphones, city streets, and global media. Urban life has given the Tokoloshe new stages to perform on.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever searched them up on TikTok?
Tokoloshe?
Yeah.
I've never even fucking heard of them until the episode today.
Obviously, TikTok is hacking my phone because I was doing research on my phone, looking up, trying to read on it. And I started getting TikTok videos of Tokoloshes.
Mhm.
And obviously, they're all AI. It's literally this one guy who's going around interviewing Tokoloshes in the middle of the streets and stuff. And they keep changing the way they look and all that. Fucking crazy, but hilarious. Anyways, newspapers, radio shows, and online platforms occasionally feature people fleeing homes, hostels, or workplaces after encounters with the creature. Taxi drivers, security guards, and night shift workers sometimes describe glimpses of a small, quick figure darting through the edges of their headlights or torchlights, just like the Nain Rouge in Detroit.
Social media has turned these sightings into fast-moving stories that mutate and spread far beyond their original communities. Despite shifting times, the Tokoloshe's core symbolism remains steady. It embodies vulnerability, unresolved conflict, and the presence of hidden forces that ripple beneath daily life.
So what it represents is the fear of being watched, of being targeted by jealousy or malice, or of losing control over one's physical or spiritual safety. It thrives in a worldview where the boundary between material and immaterial is thin, where emotions have power, and where ancestors remain active participants in human affairs.
Some people view the Tokoloshe as a literal being. Others see it as a metaphor, psychology, or cultural memory. Yet regardless of interpretation, the Tokoloshe endures because it gives voice to experiences, fear, illness, misfortune, and stuff that defy ordinary explanation.
I know this all sounds kind of like, I don't know, just like more psychological, spiritual stuff, but that's how it is in like South Africa, what they believe and all that. So I know it sounds weird, but this is how it goes. Now, it has traveled through centuries of transformation. Just the, guess, like backstory of the Tokoloshe. It survives shifts in belief and culture while holding on to its mysterious essence. It remains a figure of danger, intrigue, and symbolic depth, woven tightly into Southern African spiritual heritage.
Today, the Tokoloshe stands as both ancient and modern, echoing through rural huts and high-rise apartments alike. It lives in whispered fears and public fascination, refusing to disappear in an age of science and screens.
Its survival is not evidence of superstition, but proof of the enduring power of story, symbol, and the human desire to understand the unknown. The Tokoloshe continues to walk the line between the worlds just as it always has, unseen, but deeply felt. So I know it sounds, I don't know, I feel like when I researched this, it was kind of like a lot of woo-woo stuff.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Could have like been just summed up to been like, hey, these motherfuckers in South African tradition or Southern African tradition, they just use it as an excuse for fucking everything. Some believe that's real, some believe it don't, but most of the time it's something fucked up like, fuck, man, I done chipped a nail. Must have been in a Tokoloshe.
Must have came by and bit my nail while I wasn't looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. It does sound like that, but this is how they view it, and that's how the origin of how a Tokoloshe came to be. It's just like, oh, it had to be some kind of creature. It had to be some summoned familiar of a witch or something.
Yeah.
They're attacking me because they're jealous of me.
They're jealous of trying to get my fame and fortune.
They trying to steal my sour monkey.
You don't want no sour monkey.
But now, though, next up, we're actually going to cover some accounts and sightings of the Tokoloshe throughout the years. Which the first story that we came upon was from a woman who grew up in a rural settlement surrounded by endless hills and fields of sun-bleached grass. She remembered a season of harsh drought when the nights felt hollow and too quiet enough for every sound to matter, to be heard.
The moon casted a pale, ghostly glow across the scattered homesteads, turning shadows into shapes that felt almost alive for her. One night, long after her family had drifted into deep sleep, she awoke to the sound of footsteps above her. She said, "Damn, what the hell is that?"
Who the hell is that?
Now, these footsteps were light at first, like the soft scampering of a child testing the metal roof.
What you doing on the fucking roof?
Get your old fucking ass down there.
Then the steps grew quicker and more deliberate, pacing from one end of the house to the other with uncanny intent. She whispered for her mother, who laid beside her, but her mother did not stir and, just stayed asleep. She was in deep sleep. She wasn't fucking waking up.
I would have shook her ass, been like, "You better wake your ass up.
There's something on the roof.
We got something on the roof. We're going to have to fist fight it. It's a WrestleMania. We're going to throw it off like Mankind at Hell in the Cell in 1996.
Damn.
So the footsteps marched on for what felt like hours, never slowing, never pausing. At one point, she heard a scraping sound along the edge of the roof, sharp, dragging, like long nails sliding over metal.
God, that just makes me start thinking of like fingernails on a chalkboard. Or when morning came, her father climbed up to inspect the roof, expecting signs of animals or some type of damage. He found nothing. No dents, no tracks, no disturbed dust, nothing that could explain the night's intruder. The footsteps returned several more times that month, always past midnight, always retreating just before dawn brushed the horizon. So yeah, that was the first one. So this Tokoloshe is getting its 10,000 steps on her fucking roof.
Sounds like it.
Just pacing back and forth.
All right, so let's talk about this next story, which is about a man working in a mining town who shared a story from his time living in a crowded workers' hostel. Now, the air inside was stifling and thick, filled with the low murmur of conversations that clung to the night long after curfew. One evening, the man jolted awake with the terrifying sensation of something heavy sitting on his chest. You're going to eat it. I'm just kidding.
You like that? So as he was waking up, the dimly lit room came into his view, shadows stretching across the concrete floor like creeping fingers. He tried to shout, but not a single sound escaped his throat. He saw a small figure crouched over him, a twisted form with long arms and a hunched, rounded back.
Its breath felt icy against his face, a shocking contrast to the smothering heat of the room. He's like, you know what? This is actually not that bad. Just stand up a little bit more. You're like a portable AC unit.
That's what I was just saying.
No, he didn't say that. But the figure tilted its head slightly, as if listening to something only it could hear. Then, in an instant, the weight vanished, and he gasped as his voice returned in a startling burst.
Bitch, you got sleep apnea.
He's got that. What's it called when you wake up, but you can't move?
Sleep paralysis?
Yeah, that's what he's got.
Honestly, it sounds like sleep apnea. When you stop breathing, you wake up really quick. Like, Now, his cry did wake up several roommates who found him shaking violently in tangled, knotted blankets. He refused to sleep in that bed for the rest of the week and avoided that corner of the room entirely. Damn.
Yeah. All right, so let's...
I'm sorry. I don't know if I'd be scared or like start laughing if I see something like little something hunched over him on my chest, just staring at me. Like, what the fuck is that?
All right, so let's talk about this next story, which is from an elder that decided to share a memory passed down from his grandfather. Now, their family often gathered around a fire pit in the evenings, forming a circle of wooden chairs that pushed back the encroaching darkness.
One night, during a gathering marked by tension and quiet disagreements, something strange happened. A chair that no one was sitting in began to rock gently on its own.
At first, the movement was subtle, so soft that it was easy to dismiss. But the rocking grew stronger, the chair's legs tapping steadily against the packed earth.
Some family members whispered that they saw a shadowy shape perched there, hunched, small, and unmistakably present. When the fire was stirred back to life with fresh wood, the shadow dissolved as if scared away by the light.
The chair ended up becoming still instantly, and no one dared move it afterward. For years, during family gatherings, that chair remained empty, left untouched out of caution and quiet respect.
I think I would have got rid of that thing quickly.
Just threw it in a fire. Just, go ahead and do that.
Throw it in a fire.
Yeah, fuck that chair.
Do like Detroit. Burn the idol.
So that right there is a teaser of our premium episode. If you would like to watch or listen to the rest of the premium episode, you can get access to all of those by going to theoriesofthethirdkind.com, clicking on the Supercast button right there on our website, or you can click the link down below if you're watching on YouTube.
Yep, there it is.
Go support us. We'll love you.
Support us. Become a member. Yay.